And I'm going to go to Slough and speak to Hassan. Evening, Hassan.
Evening, Rachel. Hi. So speaking as an Asian, Bangladeshi, British man myself, I think it was absolutely appalling that those two white men were fired. It makes a mockery of diversity and inclusion. Now, I'm involved with diversity and inclusion at work, and I've always stated during meetings that inclusion means, and it should mean, including everyone, including white communities. I mean, there's diversity within white communities as well as the BAME community. So it should be, I'm all for diversity, not division. What we've seen now is divisive politics at play. Secondly, at work, I have had, I ran meetings that, including a dialogue with a white woman manager about white privilege. And again, I've always stated at the outset that white privilege should not mean white guilt, okay? And this thing called white privilege is changing. There are BAME communities that are breaking through barriers and reaching that peak of Mount privilege. So white privilege is not set in stone. I would have agreed with Jo Wallace, the creative director who fired those two white men, if she herself resigned from her position, because she is a white woman, and if she resigned in favour of a black person, then she would have been consistent in her decision-making. And finally, she should take a leaf out of Prime Minister Johnson's book. I'm a Tory myself, and I had never been a fan of Boris Johnson until very recently when he showed some leadership last year during the pandemic. And also the fact that he recruited the most diverse cabinet, not just in Conservative history, but in British history. He didn't have to fire old white men to do that. He just had the diversity at the recruitment stage.
Well, the joy of picking a cabinet is that you start from scratch. You don't have to do a clear out of the previous cabinet if you come in as Prime Minister and create a new one. So that he did have that advantage. He didn't have to sack people in order to promote people. He didn't inherit Theresa May's cabinet, did he?
No, that's true, yes. I suppose, yes, he can create a new cabinet.
So the problem that JWT or Wunderbar Thompson, whatever it's called, is that they felt in order to promote women, they had to sack men. So, and as a previous caller said, in doing so, they didn't obliterate their reputation as being full of privileged white men. They obliterated their reputation. It was just a very stupid move because it's against the law.
It is, yes. So they've obliterated, they're trying to obliterate discrimination. In fact, they extenuated discrimination. So, again, it's divisive politics, it's division, it's identity politics.
And also they've set the men against the women now, because now the men are all saying they've got a target on their backs, and if they're male, they're going to be fired and replaced by women. So how can that be conducive to a happy working atmosphere? One wonders.
That's not inclusion. That's what I'm saying. It's not inclusion. It's division. Yes, there should be diversity, and there should be inclusion. Everyone has a stake in this, not just BAME people, not just women, everyone. And so, yes, men may feel targeted, but also after the George Floyd killing, the tragedy of that, we've seen the politics of division and identity politics accelerated. And it should be about unity. And if anything has taught us about the racism we saw at the Euro 2020, is that the national unity that we had far outweighed the minority of people who tweeted their racist remarks. So we should celebrate the diversity that we have, and that there is less racism today than there was about 50, 60 years ago.
Hassan, thank you so much, and I'm really glad that the composition of the current cabinet meets your approval. It does me too. We're talking